Welcome to a short preview of this Screencast Online video tutorial.
It's been a year since we took a look at Things 3 by Cultured Code. And since then, the team at Cultured Code has continued to update and add features that have significantly improved the application. So we decided to do an update show to cover some of those changes. Now, if you haven't had a chance to view the previous screencasts on Things 3, I would highly recommend taking a look at that screencast first, as it covers the fundamentals of using the application. In this screencast, I will cover some of the major changes to Things 3, including a look at the new Email to Things feature, and some of the new automation features that will make your productivity workflows even more efficient. So let's get started by taking a look at some of the updates to Things 3. One of the new features added to Things 3 is the ability to send an email and have it show up as a task in your Things database. Now, this is a great addition to the application. It's something that some other task managers have had, so it's great to see it come to Things. So let me show you how to set it up. So we're going to come up here to Things. We're going to go to Preferences. And in the Preferences area, we're going to click on the Things Cloud tab. Now, you need to have Things Cloud enabled for this to work. So if you don't have that set up or you want to walk through on what it looks like to set that up, you may want to take a look at the previous screencast that I did on Things 3. But we've got that set up already. And so what you'll notice is down here we have Mail to Things available now. So what I'm going to do is just click on Manage. And it's going to give me this sheet that comes down that allows me to enable Mail to Things. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. And you'll notice as soon as I check that, I get a new email address down here.
That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from Screencasts Online. Screencasts Online is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS-related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only Screencasts Online Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the digital Screencasts Online monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit screencastsonline.com today and become a Screencasts Online member.